Oh, hello there. I'm Bilchan.
I'm Nimakung.
I'm Banchan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you. Chapter 6, Section 2 of A Tale of Two Cities, Book the Second, Golden Thread.
As.
Ah.
A Tale of Two Cities, Book the Second, Golden Thread. Charles Dickens. Chapter 6, Section 2. With meekness. Nothing to boast of, said Miss Purse. Ah. Indeed, said Miss Purse. Miss Purse. His character descended from stature with shortness. Really? Then, said Mr. Or as an amendment. Really? Is bad enough, returned Miss Pross. But bitter. Is. I don't want dozens of people who are not at all worthy of Ladybird to come here looking after her, said Miss Purse. Hundreds, said Miss Pross. Since that one of her original proposition was questioned. She exaggerated it. Dear me, said Mr. Lorry, as the safest remark he could think of. I have lived with the darling, and the darling has lived with me, and paid me for it, which she certainly should never have done. You may take your affidavit. 10 years old. And it's really very hard, said Miss Purse, not saying with precision what was very hard. Mr. Laurie shook his head. Then. All sorts of people who are not in the least degree worthy of the pet are always turning up, said Miss Purse. I began it. Didn't you? Well, if that was beginning it, said Mr. Or it wasn't ending it. I suppose. I say, when you began it, it was hard enough. Not that I have any fault to find with Dr. Manette, except that he is not worthy of such a daughter, which is no imputation on him, for it was not to be expected that anybody should be, under any circumstances, turning up after him. I could have forgiven him. Mr. Laurie knew Miss Pross to be very jealous, but he also knew her by this time to be beneath the surface of her eccentricity, one of those unselfish creatures found only among women wool, for pure love and admiration, bind themselves willing slaves to youth when they have lost it, to beauty that they never had, to accomplishments that they were never fortunate enough to gain, to bright hopes that never shone upon their own sombre lives. Then the faithful service of the heart, so rendered and so free from any mercenary taint. He had such an exalted respect for it, that in the retributive arrangements made by his own men to all make such arrangements, immeasurably better got up both by nature and art, who had balances at Tilson's. There never was, nor will be, but one man worthy of Ladybird, said Miss Purse, and that was my brother Solomon. Here again, Mr. was a heartless scoundrel who had stripped her of everything she possessed, as a stake to speculate with, and had abandoned her in her poverty for evermore, with no touch of compunction. Was quite a serious matter with Mr. Lorry, and had its weight in his good opinion of her, as we happen to be alone for the moment. And are both people of business, he said. Relations. Let me ask you, does the doctor, in talking with Lucy, never refer to the Shumaking time? Returned Miss Press, shaking her head. I do, said Miss Press. Do you imagine, Wisty, Laurie had begun, when Miss Press took him up short with. Never imagine anything. I stand corrected. Do you suppose they'll go so far as to suppose? Now and then, said Miss Press. Do you suppose, Mr. Rory went on, with a laughing twinkle in his bright eye, as it looked kindly at her, that Dr. Manette has a new theory of his own, preserved through all those years, relative to the cause of his being so oppressed? Perhaps. Now don't be angry at my asking all these questions, because I am a mere dull man of business. Dull? Miss Press inquired, with placidity, rather wishing his modest adjective away. Mister, Rory replied. Dull? No. Well, surely not. To return to business, so is it not remarkable that Dr. Manette, unquestionably innocent of any crime as we are all well assured he is, should never touch upon that question? I will not say with me, though he had business relations with me many years ago, and we are now intimate. I will say with the fair daughter to whom he is so devotedly attached, and who is so devotedly attached to him. Believe me, Miss Press, I don't approach the topic with you out of curiosity. Well, to the best of my understanding, and bad's the best, you'll tell me, said Miss Press, softened by the tone of the apology. It's plain enough, I should think, why he may be. It's a dreadful remembrance. Besides that, his loss of himself grew out of it. Not knowing how he lost himself, or how he recovered himself, he may never feel certain of not losing himself again. That alone wouldn't make the subject pleasant. It was a profounder remark than Mr. Rory had looked for. True, said he, and fearful to reflect upon it. A doubt lurks in my mind. Miss Press. Indeed. Can't be helped, said Miss Press, shaking her head. Touch that string, and he instantly changes for the worse. Better leave it alone. In short, must leave it alone. Like or no like. Sometimes he gets up in the dead of the night and will be heard by us overhead there, walking up and down in his room. Ladybird has learned to know then that his mind is walking up and down in his old prison. She hurries to him. To be continued.